Happy 4th of July to you all out there. I'll get to your complimentary plays for this holiday. I've got two of them in baseball. Cashed in with the free play on Monday night. Didn't look like it was going to be a free play winner. In fact, when I updated the site originally, I noted it being a loser. And then the Rangers come back to tie the game. And, of course, then they push it over in extra innings as Boston's bullpen totally collapsed. So I'll get to those free plays in just a moment. Of course, today, the nation's holiday, but there's other significant birthdays as well. First one being John Waite. Yes, John Waite, Missing You fame. But John Waite also got a start in music. Of course, lead singer of the Babies. Great band of the 70s. Most of you probably aren't aware of the Babies, but Head First, Midnight Rendezvous, my two favorite songs, my son's two favorite songs, just asked him as well. Babies, you should definitely pick up the Babies anthology album. Other things going on today, of course, John Waite also, of course, Bad English, you may remember that. Also born on this day, Al Davis, Just Win, Baby. The Raiders, well, without Al Davis, there wouldn't be the Raiders. Neil Simon, the playwright, Goodbye Girls, Seem Like Old Times, my two favorite movies there. Come on, you gotta love Seem Like Old Times. Chevy Chase, Goldie Hawn, Charles Grodin, need I say more? Also, on this day in music history, the Beach Boys started a 2-week run with their first #1 chart-topping hit on the U.S. singles chart. What was it? Come on, cue up the Jeopardy song. Well, we don't have the Jeopardy song. I'm telling you, we've really got to increase our production budget here. I Get Around. Also, on this date, and there's some controversy. You know, I fact-check these things. There's some controversy. It was either July 4th or July 5th, depending on which site you want to believe. So we'll call it a draw. On this date, Steely Dan had #4 song in the nation with Ricky Don't Lose That Number, a song which I grew to hate back in 1974, I have to be honest with you. Well, they appeared in Santa Monica, and it was their last live stage performance for 18 years. Because after that, they just decided, hey, we're going to become a studio band and churn out the hits. That was it. Nothing more for 18 more years in terms of live performances. Of course, today we know what the significance is with the 4th of July, but I found also there were so many other significant historical facts that fell on this 4th of July. In 1802, the U.S. Military Academy opened in West Point. 1 year later, the Louisiana Purchase is announced. In 1826, former Presidents Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both passed away. Matter of hours between their deaths. In 1831, Samuel Francis Smith penned My Country 'Tis of Thee, which I'm sure all of us had to learn at one time or another 100,000 years ago when we were in elementary school. In 1863, the people of France offered the Statue of Liberty to the people of the United States. And, of course, in sports, what happened in this day in 1938? Probably one of the most famous speeches ever. Lou Gehrig made his luckiest man on the face of the earth speech, announcing his retirement at Yankee Stadium. So that's what happened in this day. A quick word about betting philosophy. I had an amazing 7-week run, which when you're betting baseball, as I did, and listen, the run began in the NBA playoffs, but a lot of baseball sprinkled in there along the way. When you bet baseball like I do, when you're betting small favorites because of my reliance on run line plays, and nice dogs, because again, I'm turning so many of those favorites into small dogs, and I'm betting a number of dogs along the way as well. You build up profit, and you also minimize the damages with your losses. Well, you build a healthy little bankroll. When you hit a losing streak, you're protecting that profit. Now, losses suck, but they're part of the game. And if you go into gambling, you have to expect you're going to hit bad streaks. That's just part of the game. It happens. But I always have said to you that when you hit the losing streak, people will say, well, what are you doing differently? Absolutely nothing. And if there's one thing to be taken away from a losing streak, it's this. Stay true to yourself. You have to remain consistent. Whatever you were doing while you were winning, you have to remain consistent and do the same thing when you're losing. That's the thing that you have to stay true to yourself. Consequently, yesterday I was faced with a decision when I was looking at the best bet on the board, which was the game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. Adam Wainwright, who had been absolutely on fire at home this year and last year and the past 4 years combined, and the St. Louis Cardinals have been on a roll offensively. They had scored, I think, 46 or 47 runs in their previous 9 games, of which they had won 7 of those 9 games. Well, they were a 145 favorite at home on the money line. Well, a lot of guys, when they're in a losing streak, would panic and perhaps go ahead and lay the big chalk price with the Cardinals, figuring, hey, I need a sure win. That's not the way I play, because even though my personal cap is 155, 160, I am not laying 145 with anybody, winning or losing, because that's just fool's gold. That is just a stupid way to play. That's a great way to erode the profit. So I looked at the Cardinals instead, and I'm looking at a team that's been on a roll. And as you know, St. Louis's big problem this season is offensively, they're like a sine wave. You never know what they're going to do. But when they're on a roll offensively, as they have been throughout the month of June, and they've carried that over in the first couple of days of July, that's when you've got to bet them on the run line. Well, the run line price yesterday was plus 145. Again, the way I make money in baseball is taking those big favorites and turning them into run line dogs. Again, it maximizes your earnings and minimizes your damages when you lose. So, I take St. Louis as an underdog price last night. My wife and I go out to dinner. The waitress goes and sits us at the table. The first thing I see, the TV right above the table, is the Cardinals game. I don't see the score, but I see the graphic, and it says Adam Wainwright, first 4 innings, 0 runs. Wainwright, 5th inning, 6 runs yielded. And I'm going, oh my God, this is a bad day. I didn't know that the Cardinals already had scored 114 runs in the first 4 innings of that game. Well, ultimately, they won the game 14-6, so I was very happy. But if I had panicked, if I had not stayed true to myself, I would have been looking at an okay win last night as a 15-dime best bet, and I would have walked away with St. Louis as a 15-dime profit. But I am much happier having St. Louis as a 15-dime winner at plus $1.45 because, again, I stayed true to myself. That's the moral of the story. Don't deviate. Dance with the girl you brought. You know what I mean? So let's get to your complimentary plays here tonight. I'm going to go, first of all, let's run these in reverse chronological order. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers, minus $1.45. Yes, minus $1.45 because I ain't betting on it. And I'm not that big of a fan of the Brewers on the run line. So I'm going to take the Brewers minus $1.45 because, again, this is a complimentary play, guys, and there's a different set of rules with the plays that I'm not betting on. Here on the free picks, I don't feel that good about taking the Brewers on the run line in this particular situation. So it's Milwaukee on the money line. I'm going to take Jimmy Nelson, a guy who, I'll be honest, I've never had any success betting on him, just telling you up front. Although he is 5-2 with a 2.63 earned run average in his last 11 starts, and he does have a 2.64 ERA and 9 starts at Miller Park this season. Milwaukee won last night's opener 8-1, leaving the Orioles at 15-26 on the road. Now, Ubaldo Jimenez beat me in his last start. I went against him as a complimentary play. I told you to take the Toronto Blue Jays because Jimenez, well, he entered that start with Toronto with a 7.26 earned run average. What did he do? He had 8 innings of 2-hit shutout ball, and he struck out 8 at the Rogers Center. I'm sorry. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. This is a guy who in his previous start at Tampa Bay allowed 9 runs in 2 1/3 innings, who carried a 7.26 earned run average into that start on the season. I say he reverts to form. And I'm going to go with Milwaukee minus $1.45 in that one. Your other complimentary play, I'm going to go with Detroit minus $1.10 on the run line, an early afternoon game with Michael Fulmer on the hill against San Francisco and Matt Cain. I know the Giants are coming off a 3-game sweep of the Pirates to open the road trip, and they rallied for every win in that game series. I know they have won 6 straight games. I know they have scored 38 runs in those 6 straight wins. But I also know that Matt Cain's pitching for them today. And I also smart enough to look at the map, and I realize this game isn't being played at AT&T Park in San Francisco. It's being played at Comerica Park in Motown. And we know that Matt Cain's home road split is simply atrocious. His last road start in Atlanta on June 22nd is typical. 4 innings pitched, 10 hits, 7 runs, and 3 homers allowed. He is 0-5 in 8 road starts this season with an 8.3 earned run average. And in those 8 road starts, he's allowed 62 hits and walked 20 batters, served up 9 homers. That's 82 base runners in 39 innings. He must have a sore neck because every time he turns around, there's a guy on first or second base. At home, 8 starts at AT&T Park in San Fran by the Bay, an earned run average of 3. On the road, 8.31. This is not a statistical anomaly. Past 3 years on the road, 2-9 in 23 games with a 5.53 ERA. This year, it's 3 runs higher. This is just a pure play going against Matt Cain on the road. You can say sometimes it's an anomaly when it's a 1-year wonder. This is going 3.5 years. That plays with your psyche. Matt Cain must wake up and go, oh my God, I'm on the road. I suck on the road. I'm never going to win again on the road. Play Detroit on the run line. Detroit on the run line, your one complimentary play. Milwaukee on the money line at home, your other. Those are your 2 complimentary plays. I wish you well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.